in case you haven't checked it out, because it is awesome and you should, a great piece by the one, the only Caleb Calhoun on the 10 greatest single seasons in history by Tennessee offensive linemen. How did you go about judging this? I don't think you went back and looked at all of the tape and graded them individually, but the 10 best 10 best seasons by Tennessee offensive linemen. That's not easy to say.
So I looked at where Tennessee, I looked at a few things. I looked at accolades because you have to take that into account. But Tennessee has, I think, like 17, 18 All-Americans. So you can't just put that in. And I think sometimes they get it wrong who should be an All-American each year. And then I looked at who was the primary blocker when there was a year of high productivity by Tennessee's offensive line. And high productivity is easy to judge. It's how many times was the quarterback sacked and how good were your rushing stats. I mean, it's pretty much that simple. And I took those things into account, and that's how I kind of came with my 10.
So you had Anthony Parker, completely agree with, in 2007, Bob Suffrage in 1939. Then you had Michael Munoz in 2004. I thought Munoz was a little bit disappointing. Why did you have him on the list?
I think Munoz was a little bit disappointing relative to what was expected of him. But don't forget that 2004 team had 2,000-yard rushers. The only team in Tennessee history to do that, with Joe Riggs Jr. and Cedric Houston. I'm in my mind, I'm like, you got to have somebody from that. They had 2 1,000-yard rushers, and they had 3 different quarterbacks that started a game that year because Brent Schaefer and Eric Ainge then both got hurt. Rick Clausen has to come in, and they helped Tennessee win the East, almost win the SEC title, and Munoz was the primary blocker of that team. I thought Aaron Sears was better. It was really hard for me to leave Aaron Sears off this list from 2006, but Tennessee's run game was so horrid in 2006. Not necessarily Sears' fault, but the offensive line actually got a little better after he left in 2007.
Ted Daffer in 1951. His nickname was Ted Daffer Duck. Did you know that?
Did not know that. That's actually funny.
It was not. But you had to pick a 1951 guy for sure because they were undefeated and really good. Then you got Darnell Wright at number 6 overall. I got no argument with this. I might have had him higher, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Darnell Wright, 2022. I couldn't. It's shocking to me when I looked at Tennessee's All-Americans that he wasn't an All-American this past year. I mean, I thought the Will Anderson. Again, voters are a prisoner of the moment. If the Alabama game happens in November, Darnell Wright's an All-American, isn't he? With what he did to Will Anderson. Like, if that game happens November the 18th, Darnell Wright is a first-team unanimous All-American, no questions asked.
Yes.
And, yeah. So, I think Darnell Wright, I have him. I could have had him higher. There's some others that are crucial, but yeah, I thought number 6 was fair. Ted Daffer blocked for the first Heisman runner-up in Tennessee history, Hank Laricella, who should have won in 51.
There you go. Chip Kell in 1970. You had Fred Weary. I got no argument with that in 2001. Bob Johnson, 1967. Cozy Coleman in 1998. I might have had him number 1, but you had Eric Still, 1989. Why Still over Tillman or over Coleman?
Well, Coleman, it was really, I thought Coleman was a collaborative effort between Coleman and Chad Clifton, honestly, on that side. And both were amazing, by the way. And I thought Coleman was better, so I gave it to Coleman. But Eric Still was the primary blocker for the 89 team that switched quarterbacks with Andy Kelly to Sterling Hinton Sterling Hinton to Andy Kelly. And Dave, that's the greatest rushing season in Tennessee football history, if you look at the numbers. And they went from Reggie Cobb to Chuck Webb seamlessly. No issues. Charles McRae, Antoine Davis were both bigger NFL stars and were on that line. But in college, Eric Still was the star blocker for that group.